Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to the fourth HTML tutorial video here in Web Design Fundamentals. In the previous video, we went over the anchor tag, which is basically a link element. It allows you to create clickable links that lead you to other pages. If you missed that one, it's extremely important. Go back and watch it. It's the video just before this one. We learned about attributes in HTML. And actually, in the video after this one, we're going to be learning one more attribute to display images on our web pages. But for now, for this video, we're going to be learning about lists. And lists in HTML are kind of a fundamental idea. You're pretty much always going to use them in your web page. I guess everything that we've learned so far you're always going to use, but you'll find out later on that there's certain HTML elements that, sometimes you won't really need in a website. Sometimes they're extremely useful, sometimes not. Well, lists are definitely not one of those elements. These are pretty much, you're going to use them in every web page that you create. And the reason for this is because they're primarily used for creating navigation menus. So, for example, if I open up my Google Chrome here and I go to, what's a good example here? I guess I'll just use a list apart again, great web design website. Up here you see this navigation menu. These also include links that go to their different pages. And so that's what lists are used for. Lists are also used for creating actual lists if you want to. It's not often. I've never created an actual list in web design used for, like just a list of items. I've never really done that before, but they're certainly used for that as well. But in this video, we're going to be seeing how we can apply those to creating our own navigation menu that leads to other pages, other web pages. So let's go ahead and jump right into that. I did mention, I think maybe in the first or second video, that eventually I'd be jumping up to a more advanced text editor. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I'm using Sublime Text 3. It's a great text editor, ton of features. I really advise you guys to check it out. It's just awesome. I'm not going to get into the features because that's beyond the scope of this tutorial, but it's an awesome text editor, and I love it. So anyway, go ahead and check that out if you feel like it. That's what I'm going to be using right now. So I have this Sublime Text open. I already have my index.html saved into my desktop. By the way, your main homepage of a website is always called index.html. Just because that's the first file that your web server is going to look to. That's another tutorial for another day, but I'm saving this as index.html. You can save it as whatever, as long as it has that .html extension. So let's go ahead and jump into this. In HTML, there are two different types of lists. You have ordered lists and unordered lists. And ordered lists are basically lists that have where numbers appear for each item you have in the list. And an unordered list, it's usually bullet points or dashes. You can change the style of what the marking is in CSS, but since we're not doing that, I'm pretty sure our default is bullet points, but we'll go ahead and see that in just a couple minutes here. So let's go ahead and create an ordered list first, just so you guys see what it is. Usually, you don't see ordered lists in HTML, unless you're creating actual lists, but we're going to go ahead and look at them anyway. And I'll explain exactly what I'm doing as soon as I'm done typing here. And let's go ahead and make another one. So as you can see, my text editor automatically ended my closing tags for me, which is a nice feature of most of these text editors. They'll also show you little hints of what you can type anyway. So the first thing that we did was we created this OL element. And the OL element stands for ordered list. And then we went ahead and closed it right here. And inside of this ordered list element, we have our individual list items. And inside of these items, we put what we want on our list. So let's say we were creating steps to write HTML. So let's say we learn HTML. That's pretty important. And then what else do we do with HTML? We type HTML, and then we save the file. So those are our steps to writing HTML. And I'm going to go ahead and open this into a web browser. And right here you can see, if I zoom in for you, we have this ordered list. Learn HTML, type HTML, and save the file. And as you can see, this 1, 2, and 3 was automatically filled in for us. We didn't type it anywhere here. but it's assumed because of this ordered list element that we've put our list tags into. And so what this ordered list element does is it tells the computer, alright, we want to create an ordered list here. So let's set that up, and then for each li element that we have inside, create a number for it in order, and display whatever text we put inside of this li element. So that's basically what it's setting up there. So we have our list container. This is essentially a container for our list. And then inside of that container we have our individual list items, which are denoted by this li inside of our tag. So that's what an ordered list looks like. Then I'm going to go ahead and jump down here a little bit and create an unordered list for you guys, which is probably the most common thing that you'll see in HTML for lists. So the way we do that is pretty self-explanatory. It was OL for ordered list, so it's going to be UL for unordered list. And we'll go ahead and close that tag. And then we do the same thing, still li in here because we're creating list elements. They're just inside of our unordered list now. And make another one. I don't know what we're going to make this list. Let's make this list, let's make it like a grocery list. Alright, so we're going to do artichokes, anchovies, I don't know if I'm spelling this right, and how about cauliflower? I don't know how to spell that, but I'm thinking of the most gross things you could possibly get at a store, and those are the three things I came up with. So we have this saved now. We created our unordered list with our list elements inside. Let's go ahead and save this file, and then we're going to jump into here, refresh that. So as you can see, instead of the numbers, we have these bullet points. And we still have our list in order, artichokes, anchovies, cauliflower. But instead of numbered lists, it's just an unordered list, so we just have these bullet points. In CSS, like I said, you can change these bullet points to dashes or slashes or whatever. Usually in CSS, we say that we don't want any style, especially for navigation bars, so there's a way to set it so you don't even see any of these dots or anything, and that will be useful later on. But for now, we're going to go ahead and delete everything we have so far and create a navigation menu. So let's go ahead and start out by saying we can make these links. Where can we make these links to? I'm trying to think of something. Let's just say useful websites. So that's going to be our header up there, our heading. And if I refresh that, you're going to see right here we have this useful websites heading. And then underneath that, let's go ahead and create our navigation bar. So we're going to make an unordered list because we don't really want numbers next to our links. That wouldn't make much sense. And we're going to jump in and create our list, our first list element. And the one thing that you want to remember here is that we want to be able to click on these elements to be able to go to the web page. And the way we do that is by using the anchor tag, which we learned in the last tutorial. So we're going to go ahead and put our anchor tag inside of these list elements. So let's go ahead and do that. Right now we're going to go href equals our two quotes, and then we end that tag and then we close it. So now we've just created an anchor tag within a list element that has no text and doesn't go anywhere yet, because I don't know where we're going to go. So let's go ahead and think of something, I guess we could just do one to Google, why not? So let's say Google. And then for our href is our HTTP, so we're going to go http://www and finish up that URL. So now we've created our first list element with a link inside of it, and this link goes to google.com, and then we have our text right here that they're going to be able to click on this Google part. So I'm going to go ahead and save that and show you guys what we're looking at. So now we have our first item in this list, and it's Google. Alright. So now we've created one of those. Let's go ahead and create maybe one or two more. So we create our list items again. We go href equals our double quotes. And in programming and computer languages, anything inside of a double quote in most languages, if not all, is called a string or a string of text. And so that's what this is. This is a string that tells the computer what URL we want to go to. And I guess for this one we could do let's just go to stackoverflow.com. Stack Overflow is a very useful website that you guys will want to make use of as you start writing more and more code. It's basically a question and answer site specifically for programming and like computer coding. It's really popular, so there's literally thousands of people on there that are willing to answer your questions, as long as they're not questions that haven't already been answered. So anyway, you guys would probably make good use of setting up an account there and looking into asking questions if you have some. Also, it's great once you get a little more knowledge answering other people's questions. It just helps you understand the language a lot more when you're solving other people's problems. Anyway, that's enough about that. Let's go ahead and type in our text that's going to go there. And I guess 2 is good enough for now. We get the idea of it. We have this list of different items. If we click on this Google one, it's going to take us to Google. And if we click on Stack Overflow, it's going to take us over to Stack Overflow. Let's go ahead and go back. So that is our basic navigation bar. Later on, when we get into CSS, we're going to be able to make more things like this, where it's actually side by side without the bullet points and it looks nice. But for now, we just need to understand the basics of creating it. And so that's what I'm just trying to get across to you guys right now, teach you some of the useful elements of HTML. Later on, when we do get into CSS, we're probably going to be learning more HTML elements as well. But I'm not going to be going into as much detail. It's going to be a lot quicker and more focused on the CSS aspect. So right now, I'm just trying to get you guys comfortable with learning new elements, putting elements inside of other elements, such as this A inside of the list element, and just get used to seeing what HTML looks like. I'm not sure if I ever mentioned this, but it's typical style to indent by 4 spaces whenever you put an element inside of another element. So that's why all of these are kind of indented. It just helps create a nice structure. You know that these are inside of our list element. Whereas if we had one here and maybe one right here and we're looking through this, it's going to be kind of confusing at first. So we try and keep our code as neat as possible. It just helps for keeping a nice clean look of your code. And that's very important, especially when you get into actual programming. But anyway, that is our list element. Pretty simple. Just creates a nice list. We also looked at the ordered list, which creates a numbered list. Like I said, you usually won't see the ordered list that much, but it is useful if you ever do have to create maybe a table of data or something. But other than that, that's about it, guys. Just practice around with this. Create a little navigation menu like this of your own, with your own favorite sites in there. And when you're done with that, you're ready to move on to the next tutorial, which will be, pretty sure we're going to be working with images, so we're going to see how to display images to our web page, which requires no CSS whatsoever. And we're going to get a nice little intro into how to structure your file system for multiple pages, probably in the video after that. So anyway, guys, just hang on to these next couple videos. It's going to start getting a lot more interesting and a lot more useful. Just got to get through these basics first. So anyway, if you liked this video, hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. Any questions, comments, feedback, whatever, leave it below. And I will see you guys in the next video.